Hello super friends and welcome to DCTV TALK. This is the show where we talk all things Supergirl, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Arrow and Black Lightning, and in today's video we'll be discussing about Caitlyn Snow's father, otherwise known as Thomas Snow, coming to The Flash Season 5. So let's discuss. Also, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more content like this, be sure to head to my podcast channel, which is called Honor Thy Podcast. It is a weekly DCTV Arrowverse podcast to do with my good friend Dan McCants, aka Mulekick Media. So if you like this video and you want to see more, be sure to head to the link in the description down below. So, Caitlyn Snow's father, otherwise known as Thomas Snow, has always been a bit of an anomaly among the Flash because he's always been a bit of a mystery. We haven't really known much about him other than the fact that he is deceased, and basically he was a big scientist within Central City who unfortunately passed away, and this was a big influence on Caitlyn's life. But due to a recent character description that we have got for The Flash Season 5, it has been revealed that not only is Caitlyn Snow's father actually alive, but he is actually coming to the show in Season 5. Now, this does kind of feel like a long time coming. Obviously, with Caitlyn's story in Season 4 not being as explored as it could have been, it was still hinting at what was to come, with Killer Frost and Caitlyn Snow kind of almost combining into one sentient being, and also with her losing her Killer Frost powers, and also with Cecile in the finale even touching into Caitlyn's inner psyche, and we see her actually reference the name Thomas, i.e. her father. So it's really interesting to see how this is actually going to be developing and going into Season 5, which I'm really happy about because Caitlyn, she deserves a story and she's finally going to be getting it in Season 5. So this news comes from my buddies over at That Hashtag Show, which if you don't know I actually write for myself. I didn't write this, by the way, but this does come from That Hashtag Show, and the character is being described as a Caucasian male in his 50s. Dr. Snow is an extremely intelligent geneticist who has been MIA for a few decades. As he returns to Central City, Dr. Snow will do his best to make up for lost time with his daughter Caitlyn. However, Thomas is, as is usually the case, keeping a big and mysterious secret. So what is this big secret? Obviously, you could just bring up the fact that, oh, he's actually alive. Yeah, he is alive, so he has been MIA for a few decades, which is, that is a long time. I mean, based on the photos we've seen of Thomas, we've only seen a couple of photographs of him. It seems like he is maybe in his sort of late 20s, early 30s when he dies. So again, that does sort of line up there. And he's been MIA, so missing in action for a few decades. And again, that obviously does line up. So he's an intelligent geneticist, so that basically, dealing with genes and things like that. So again, that does kind of fit into Caitlyn Snow and Killer Frost. It does kind of fit into that kind of field. So it's quite interesting that this character is going to be so heavily linked to not only Caitlyn Snow, of course, but Killer Frost as well. But what is this big secret that he is hiding? My first choice is that he is going to be somehow connected to the villain Cicada. I feel like, this is quite an obvious one, just to say, oh, here comes, we have this new villain, we have Cicada, and here also comes this other character just out of the blue. It is quite a Flash thing to do, to have like this new character show up out of nowhere and him actually end up being, a villain. They kind of did that in the past with a couple of other characters, obviously a big one being Jay Garrick, or the fake Jay Garrick, who of course was also very heavily connected to Caitlyn. So again, they could be doing that kind of thing. However, I don't really feel they're going to go down this route just because, again, I feel like they want to give Caitlyn a legitimate story, not one that's going to get scrapped halfway through and turn this character into a villain or have this character be killed off by the villain or something like that. I feel like they actually want to, drive this out, and I feel like they actually are going to want to ride this one out a little bit. So making him connected to Cicada, I can't really see it happening. Also, we don't know too much about Cicada at this point, but from what we do know about Cicada, I don't see why they would be linked and why they would be connected. I feel like it'd be a bit of a stretch to actually connect those two characters, so I don't really see why they would do this. So in terms of the whole Cicada and villain connection thing, I just don't see it. The much more likely choice links back to something we saw in The Flash Season 4, which is where we saw Caitlyn flash back to her childhood. She was playing outside with her father, she had an accident where she fell off a bicycle, and she looked at herself in the mirror and she saw Killer Frost. So this did tell us that Killer Frost has been living inside of Caitlyn for a lot longer than we first expected. Of course, we all thought that it was a thing caused by Flashpoint. Turns out that's not the case. Turns out she's actually been Killer Frost pretty much all of her life, or at least for a large amount of her life. So this did open a lot of questions to us fans who were kind of like, well, one, that doesn't make sense, but also, why is this happening? And it seems like all of this is going to be explained when we come into The Flash Season 5 with Caitlyn's story. So why does that relate to Thomas? Well, I feel like Thomas is going to be aware of what happened to Caitlyn as a young child. I feel like the big thing going on here is Caitlyn was experimented on by her parents. Now, I brought this up a while ago when this episode came out, where that was revealed. I brought this up, but I feel like there's a bit more going on to it now that they're talking about how Thomas has a secret. I thought maybe it was, you know, Caitlyn's mother, who we know is not exactly the greatest person. I thought it might have been Caitlyn's mother actually experimenting on Caitlyn to find a cure for her father, because of course her father was assumed to be dead. So she thought, you know, Caitlyn thought that, you know, her mother was trying to save him. And I thought, well, maybe she was experimenting on Caitlyn to find a cure. But obviously now that we know that he's alive, that clearly wasn't the case. And I feel like, you know, maybe they were both experimenting on her, and maybe Caitlyn's mother was going too far, and that's why Thomas actually went away and left Central City and was, you know, basically, I guess, faked his own death in a sense, at least in terms of Caitlyn anyway. Faked his own death as he didn't want to be a part of that anymore, and obviously he remembers that, he's guilty of that, and he has to deal with that guilt, and he has dealt with that guilt for many, many years, and now he comes back, he knows what happened to her, and now with this whole Killer Frost thing really coming to light, he's kind of having to almost explain himself and almost explain what's going on, as he seems to be the one who has the key to actually finding out what is happening with Caitlyn and what happened to her, and why this Killer Frost, you know, being is inside of her, and why it's been inside of her for all this time. And I feel like, again, it's him keeping that secret that she was experimented on as a child by him and his wife, you know, her parents. I feel like that is a good storyline to go down, and again, it would be a really interesting one for Caitlyn to give her a lot more depth and a lot more, you know, interesting storylines to go down, and I feel like this would fit really well for the season. But what do you guys think about Caitlyn Snow and her story in Season 5? And what do you think about Thomas Snow coming back to the show, or coming to the show, I should say, in order to actually develop the storyline even more? Make sure you let me know all your thoughts. And what do you think Thomas's role is going to be within the show? Like I said, I personally believe it's going to be that Caitlyn was experimented on as a child by her parents, and then he's going to have to come back and kind of deal with the fallout of that. But make sure you let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. So, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a like, it'll help me out a lot, and share this video with anyone and everyone you know who loves DCTV, and get them to join the community. And as always guys, please subscribe for your latest content on Supergirl, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Arrow, and Black Lightning. And with all that said guys, I hope to see you again in my next video.